Gather close, travelers, and keep the fire stoked. The desert night is a strange thing, you know. It holds more than the cold. It holds memories, old ones, dangerous ones. Long ago, in the heart of the endless desert, a proud tribe called the Mahalar faced a drought so cruel it would have claimed them all. Some say they prayed to the gods of sand and sky. Some say they cursed them. But all the stories agree on this. One night, a figure came to them, walking through the black dunes with footsteps of fire, a spirit of flame, or perhaps a devil. It offered them a bargain. Accept my ember into your hearts, and you shall never thirst, nor hunger, nor wither beneath the cruel sun. Desperation makes fools of us all. They agreed. They carved open their own chests with obsidian knives, and into their bodies the spirit placed its embers. For a time, they were mighty, strong, tireless, immune to the sun's burning wrath. But the ember was a hungry thing, demanding the breath of others to survive. Twisted by the pack, they became what we call now the ash chokers. Small, smoky creatures with burning hearts, forever hunting to feed the fire within. So keep your fires burning bright, traveler. The ash chokers fear the flame that is not their own. The legend of the cursed nomads? Just a story told by frightened travelers, a lie that grew over generations. The true origin of the ash chokers were never a tribe, nor victims of a desperate pact. They were elemental spawn creatures birthed from a dying ember of an ancient fire elemental who perished long ago. Fragments of their essence clung to the landscape, fusing with the remains of deceased wildlife. These smoldering husks rose, not out of hunger, but as an instinctual echo of their creators, driven to survive and kindle the ever-hungry spark within them. Hey guys, welcome to episode 20, The Ash Choker. This piece is very heavily inspired by the fire Mephit. I imagine most of you know what a fire Mephit is. If you've played any Dungeons & Dragons campaign, even Baldur's Gate 3, Icewind Dale, you should have a good idea of what a fire Mephit is. But I wanted to make my own twist on it. And as you can see, there's no wings. And one of the features I have is it emanates black, thick smoke continuously from its body. And, you know, the big hands, gremlin-like face, no tail. So there are some, you know, different aspects to it. I guess it would be more just an inspiration from the fire Mephit, really. But they are low in CR, I plan on, when I craft the stat block. So fighting 1 would pretty much be a breeze. But fighting 5, now that gets interesting. I plan on having, you know, strength in numbers. So for example, fighting one of, you know, like fighting a group of these, like in a dungeon room, a temple room, there's no ventilation, no windows. That smoke that emanates from their body, well, it's continuous. So being in a small room with no ventilation, it's going to build up smoke pretty quickly. And I imagine that dark vision isn't going to help you guys on that. But also, I might have to throw in something, constitution saves, right? You know, your players are combating, they're going to be breathing in the smoke. So it's going to be pretty fun to craft up the stat block. But anyways, let's get to the art progress here. As you can see, I start with my values and I build up the darks and lights until it kind of you start to see the shape, right, in the silhouette. I take a lot of time rendering this out. I wanted some great detail on it. And then the only other thing really is that I use my layer effects and layer adjustments to make the reds and, you know, the warmer color tones, even the little sparks that come from the chest, and, you know, suggesting that there's embers inside of it. And then other than that, it's just kind of like, you know, a couple, you know, lighter later effects to really give in some drama. But that's really much it, guys. We'll catch you later, and I will leave you to some cool music and, you know, really soak in that visual study. I mentioned this before in one of my videos. The way I actually learn how to render out digital art is just watching other people do it. Being a time lapse or a full-on video, I just like to watch what they're doing and kind of develop my skills that way. So if you're anything like me or want to give it a shot, here it is. All right, till next time.